Hey everybody, off the Mike Sports Network here, another edition of Off the Top Rope. So, a follow-up story to what happened at Double or Nothing came out, as multiple people reported that there was debate in terms of who was actually going to win the main event match between Hangman Adam Page and Will Ospreay. It was down to the final minute, and then they made the decision to go with Hangman, which I've said and I've gone on the record saying that was 100% the right thing to do. And basically, to me, it's their best story and it's the best pathway they can have moving forward into what I think is going to be the main event of All In Texas, July 12th from Globe Life Field in Arlington. Um, but an interesting story followed up on a PW Insider said that this was a very last minute call. Like they didn't have this thing definite until the weekend of, the day of. Not really sure about that. And then Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select comes out with some really good reporting and basically says that both men in the match wanted each other to win. Hangman wanted Ospreay to win. Ospreay wanted Hangman to win. John Moxley gave his input. He wanted Hangman to win. And Tony Khan ultimately made the decision to go with Hangman. So first things first here. Tony Khan did the right thing. If it came down to him and getting input from other guys. But here's the other problem. And on some level, I do appreciate leadership within the locker room of saying, okay, let's do what's best for business. And hey, but when you've got two guys who don't want to win, and then you've got a women's champion, a TBS champion who doesn't want to lose, this is why AEW's in the spot they're in creatively. They let the inmates run the asylum. And credit to Tony Khan, at least in this respect, that he had to make a tough decision here, and he made the right one. That being said, reading this report gives me less optimism that Hangman Adam Page is going to win the world title. And I've said that AEW is dead, is creatively dead, if they don't give the world title to Hangman Adam Page, given the story that's been told there, the redemption arc that would be there. Him and Moxley have so much history, and it should main event. To me, the Death Riders, as bad as they are, now you at least have a compelling protagonist to chase. Will Ospreay would have been fine. I just think that Hangman is just way more compelling. But the fact that he didn't want to win in that spot is a little odd to me. And, some of these people, I swear to God, Bryan Danielson is just, I love Bryan Danielson, but one of the worst qualities about Bryan Danielson is that he just did not want to do business. He did not want to win. He wanted to put everybody else over, and that hurt his credibility. And it's just, to me, when you're running a wrestling company, you need people to win, but you also need to have them win in moderation. So there's a middle ground here, where you look at Mercedes Moné hasn't lost. Tony Storm, the person she's facing, took some losses, but has just dispatched people in the wake of this thing. You get to this moment where this whole tournament was basically built around Will Ospreay and Hangman meeting in the finals, and you get up to the end of the road and basically get to the day of, and both guys don't want to win. I understand that this is wrestling, and it's hey, you want what's the better story, but it's when you get into a creative room like that, and you have so much indecision, and you've got guys, some guys who want to just not lose, some guys who don't want to win. It's you've got to have better infrastructure in your company to basically know, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this, and this is what we're doing, and we're going to make this decision because this is where we want to go. And my frustration here is that based off the fact that Hangman, was put in this spot and he basically reportedly didn't want to win and Ospreay didn't want to win, I think the plan still might be Darby Allin, everybody. And I need everybody to brace themselves for the possibility that, hey, Hangman's not winning. And to me, that's a horrible decision. It's just there's a fine line between selflessness and selfishness. And on two different fronts in this company, you're seeing how it's really rearing its ugly head. And I think it's becoming a detriment to AEW as a whole. Some people will look at, yeah, it's great to be selfless and it's great to have leadership. Yeah. But you also need to have a dog, and you need to have a guy in your locker room who's basically going to say, yeah, when push comes to shove, I'm going to win or something like that. You can't just basically say, yeah, no, I want to lose. No, I want to lose. At the same time, you also don't want to be like Mercedes Mone and just beat everybody and nobody else has credibility to beat you. And it's just like it makes everything around you really insignificant. So this was a weird story. This is a really weird story to find out about. And like I said, a couple days after, double or nothing, I'm a little bit concerned that that Hangman won't win the world title in Texas. And I hope that I'm wrong. John Moxley pushed for it, so I mean, maybe that gives you cause for, optimism. I have no idea, but we'll see. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.